just a short talk today. I was inspired uh, by the remodels that we're doing. So maybe some of you know that we've been slowly remodeling every cottage here on the property. Remodeling meaning uh, gutting the bathroom and kitchen, redoing all the plumbing, redoing framing where necessary, redoing all the gas lines, just gutting half of the house, putting it all back together again. And one of the elements of these remodels is what they call skim coating, right? Skim coat, basically flattening, uh, texturizing the walls, right? So that when they're done, they're super straight and plumb and flat and beautiful and new, and it's great, right? You look at these new walls and it makes such a difference. It feels new. It feels like, people care about this place. It feels, these are old buildings. The houses we live in are over 100 years old. And you put this new kind of shiny flat wall on there and it feels like it's ready for another 100 years, right? And it feels just really nice. Um, and so I was thinking about that, and then I started thinking about what the walls looked like before. And if any of you have been in the cottages, or maybe some folks live in a cottage now that maybe still has a wall or two that didn't get skim coated at the time, and how they were bumpy and wavy and cracked, and maybe the paint was soft in one part from from a water leakage at some point. And the reason that the walls were like that, uh, A, because they're old, but B, because of decades of our work. Every one of those bumps and dimples and waves was because someone from this Sangha, maybe it was Herb or Echo Sensei 22 years ago, maybe it was Herman, maybe it was Kozan, who was a very diligent property staff member for many years here. Or maybe it was just a random session participant who happened to be here when we were fixing a wall for whatever reason. But all of those person hours, all of that labor, all of that um, community effort went into those walls. And every little bump, every little scratch, every little imperfection was kind of a representation of the efforts of this community. And as I was thinking about that, I started to get remorse. Like, oh my God, what have we done? We've erased the past. We've taken this beautiful collective, albeit flawed effort of just, because, as wonderful as all of our workers and staff members and Sangha members have been, they've all been very unqualified to do things like patch a wall. And Kozan, he was here fixing things for years, like I said, and pretty much everything he did, he would just kind of watch a YouTube video and then go try it. So, which I admire a lot. Um, but in that moment, thinking about this, I was like, oh my God, I've taken this organic, humble, collective effort that we had in these walls that have been here for years that tell a story of the beauty of this kind of hodgepodge community that we have kept alive with nothing but love and passion and compassion for all these years. And just because we get a little bit of money, we're just chipping it all away and pasting over it to create something pretty. And I had this real feeling of remorse, like, oh my God, we've taken away the spirit of our Sangha just to make something pretty. I felt like a capitalist pig. No, not really. So that was kind of a strong feeling. And then that kind of turned into this very powerful moment of Well, that's what letting go is. That's what it means to really let go. At least for me, it's so, I'm a super nostalgic person, and, we all have different attachment drives and attachment triggers. And for me, nostalgia, remembering things, maintaining things of yore, that means a lot to me. And I do attach in that kind of way. And I realized that this practice of letting go of the charm of, the flaws of our community, for the purpose of the longevity of this center, um, is a real practice in letting go. It was for me. And so, of course, this has implications beyond our housing. Um, and it really kind of spoke to me in terms of my life and my society and culture and my practice, right? So we do like new things. We do like clean, good, better, stronger things. We want that for ourselves. We want to be cleaner, and we want to be smarter, and we want to be more effective and productive, and we have goals and we want to achieve things. But then we also realize that we have bumps and we have flaws. And to, try to get rid of all of our flaws or to try to be the perfect person, I think we all know is kind of a losing battle, right? And how many koans and teachings are there that say just as you are is Buddha, right? So we know that that's a thing that we have to sit with. Every bump and ripple and chip and patch, just as we are, is perfect. And to try to gloss over it with some kind of thing that I think it should look like is probably a recipe for more suffering. And yet, we do practice, we do try to do better, right? All these sayings, Suzuki Roshi, famous for saying, "You are perfect just as you are, and you could be a little bit better," right? This is kind of like the flavor of Zen, the flavor of Buddhism. And a lot of times, in order to be better, to deepen our practice and understanding, to manifest awakening more deeply, more consistently, more intimately, we have to let go of things. And it really reminds me of something that I hear a lot from myself and from others. And maybe you guys can indulge me and think about it for yourself. Like, how many times do you say, "I'm the kind of person that blank," or "I'm just a person who blanks"? I hear it all the time. "Oh, well, I'm just klutzy, so I can't do that." "Oh, well, I need to be warm. I can't be cold." "I'm the kind of person who has to, be around people all the time." "Oh, well, I'm just an introvert." So yeah, maybe these are true. This is the karma that we bring. This is the bumps and patches and scrapes that we are conditioned and grow with for our lives. But I always find that sentence is such a cop out, right? It's a very easy way to avoid being open and letting go. "Oh, well, I'm just the kind of person who, can't go out if or can't work if I've only had 7 hours of sleep." Um, what if that's not the case? Right? Obviously, there are some important ones that will probably remain. I'm the kind of person with a broken leg. You can't really change that. But this practice is so rooted in no self, realizing that our karma, our attributes, our characteristics are empty. So, yeah, maybe I'm the kind of person who has a history of being clumsy, or a person with a history of being impatient. So, knowing that, how can I work with that? How can I open up to it? Almost becomes like a crutch. I'm this kind of person and everyone should know it. Well, what happens if you skim coat your personality? What happens if you say, maybe I won't be clumsy today? Maybe I won't be impatient today? I don't know. I don't know. I just encourage us all to try it. Maybe you continue to be clumsy. Maybe you continue to be impatient, but I think it's that openness, the willingness to let go and open up to new possibilities. Um, that is the magic of this practice of no self. And really watching the very nuanced and subtle ways that we attach to what we think we are or what we think we should be. So, kind of strange, I got to all that by looking at a wall. But it did remind me of a famous koan that I think I spoke about recently. Um, it's case 29, maybe 25. Hold on. Case 29 of the Muman Khan, or the Gateless Gate, which is the first full collection that we look at in our koan practice here. And so the koan reads, the wind was flapping a temple flag, and two monks were having an argument about it. One said, the flag is moving. The other said, the wind is moving. They argued back and forth, but could not reach the truth. The sixth patriarch, Hui Neng, came and said, it is not the wind that moves. It is not the flag that moves. It is your mind that moves. The two monks were struck with awe. It's funny. So there was a flag up in front of the temple, because I guess back in the day that signified that they were going to have a Dharma talk. So the abbot's given a talk, we raise the flag. And then there's two monks out there, seemingly dedicated monks. They're really interested in investigating their life. What is real? Who am I? How does this work? What's happening? What is the truth? So in that sense, this is kind of an expression of good practice, right? These monks are like in it. They're not outside talking about sex. They're not outside talking about how hungry they are. They're not outside, arguing about, what color paint would be better. They're out there investigating the nature of reality. And very often that's kind of what it takes to really stick with Zen. So they're having this debate, right? And the debate is very clearly philosophical, right? Very clearly intellectual. It's the flag that's moving, and the flag is all there is. And no, it's the wind that's moving. The wind is all there is. And, how many philosophical questions does this remind you of? I remember in my first philosophy course, I was 15, I was in 10th grade, and the first things we learned was the difference between the materialists and the idealists, right? Kind of 16th, 17th century philosophy. And one group says all there is atoms and material, and that's it. And the other group says, no, it's all ideas and nothing exists outside of the mind. And so this is kind of a similar kind of conversation, the same realm that they're engaging in. And then here comes the sixth ancestor, who is a major figure in our lineage. And he had come to, I guess, investigate this temple. He was just a newcomer. He literally just shows up, and these are the first two people that he sees. So it's kind of obnoxious, actually, to just walk up and be like, no, it is your mind that moves, you know? But they were a little bit more stinky back then, back in the day. So, yeah, so he offers this, it is your mind that moves. And this is a super tricky koan. Very tricky. Really, really good, difficult koans um, are aimed at getting us to really figure it out. You know, some koans are less so. This one, for those of you that have a philosophical or intellectual bent, this one is very difficult to see through. I only speak because I am one of those people. And I don't know, it just kind of, my whole wall remodel skim coat thing reminded me of this because I'm sitting there like, you know, is it right to make things better? Or is it right to keep the charm of the flaw and the age of our old community? And what's the best way? And have I transgressed the spirit of our thing? Or is it better to just let go and, and I start getting into this whole back and forth. Um, what's the best way? What's the true way? What's the most inspiring way? What's the right way? And I think it falls into this same category. And I think the trap of this koan is to think that Huineng, the sixth ancestor, is offering a better philosophy, right? That's kind of the trap. And Aitken Roshi, who is not in our lineage, he's a Rinzai guy, an early American Rinzai master. But he has a comment that I found on this that I thought was really good. So I'll just read it. When I was a much younger Zen student, I supposed that the sixth ancestor intended to show these monks that they were being too intellectual. Like he was saying, what is moving is the endless stream of thoughts in your heads as you argue back and forth. And then Aitken continues, partly this is true perhaps, but very ordinary, very useless. I'm sure Huineng would not emerge from the forest after 15 years of practice to simply preach quietism. Some people might suppose that the sixth ancestor is saying that phenomena find their home in perception, and that apart from one's own perception, there's no reality. Thus, it is your mind that moves. But no, I don't think so. The sixth ancestor tossed something into the depths beneath such views. The two monks then felt the profound echo of his words. It is your mind that moves. It is the mind of yourself that moves. You must see into the mind of that self. What is that mind? Sitting there, show me your reincarnation of the sixth ancestor. So again, this is all, I worked on this all day yesterday and it's still making my head hurt, which it's supposed to. And so I think the real trick here, in all of these inquiries that we have, is my life extremely important because I have to help people? Or is my life completely empty, as we experience through Zazen? Is it best to be inspirational, even if it means being, a little bit, I don't know, intellectual or wonky, right? I encounter that as a teacher here, right? When I give talks, should I be like, super inspirational and say things that make people feel good? Sometimes that transgresses the truth of our practice. So is it better to just really stick with offering the Dharma in a pure way, even though it might turn people off? We're dealing with that right now with our social media. We're kind of revamping our approach to our outreach, advertisement, social media, promotion. And this is the conversation, right? Do we put up some kind of like milk toast pop spiritual quotes because that'll attract people, because that's like safe for people, it's familiar, and we want people to be drawn to the Dharma? Or do we really stick to what we teach here, even though it might not really inspire as many people, but we have that integrity of our lineage? Anyway, I'm sure we could sit here and think of a million ways that contradictions, opposing viewpoints, opposing directions plague us. And I think what Hui Neng, the sixth ancestor, is pointing to here is to stop using our heads to decipher and start using our practice to realize no separation between ourselves and the flag and the wind and the wall and the Instagram and all the viewpoints, to really just let go and manifest my true mind in every moment. And what that looks like, how that is described, who knows? Only you do, right? Like Aitken says, the mind that is yourself. There's only one mind. And something I had thought of that I couldn't find in any of the commentaries, but I think, at least the way I'm seeing it right now, is kind of important, is maybe some of you know that in Chinese and Japanese, I think, the word for heart and mind is the same. And I think that's a really important aspect of looking at this koan, because when we say mind, us Westerners, we think like thinking. It is your mind. That's why you get into this, like, oh, he's saying you're thinking too much. But if we look at this mind as heart mind, your essence, knowing that there's only one heart mind, and that is the true self, not Bobby's mind, not Leslie or Princeton's mind, your true mind, and realizing that it is manifesting in every second. And how do we do that? How do we really realize that? Here we do Zazen, lots and lots and lots of it. And as we know, Zazen is the practice of calming the mind. Very different from an intellectual or philosophical endeavor. And our cottages, these remodels, are a really wonderful manifestation of that kind of not knowing place. My true self manifesting in every moment. Because yeah, we do the skim coat, we make the walls beautiful and clean. But then there's another instance where, maybe there's a baseboard that hasn't been sanded, or a weird patch around the something, and the contractor says, hey, do you want me to sand that down, or do you want me to replace that? And I look at how much time we have, I look at our budget, and I say, nah, keep that imperfection. And so I think these kind of mismatched hodgepodge cottages are a great manifestation of just being present and being one with every moment. And every decision we make in there is expression of the one mind, the one heart mind. And sometimes it means embracing flaw. Sometimes it means honoring the past and all the wonkiness that it brings. And sometimes it means letting go and changing, making things newer, making things better. As long as we bring that desire to be our true self in every moment, then you can't make a wrong decision and you can't fail. Thank you very much for listening, and I will open it up for any questions or comments.